Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with Plain Scorch, Japan's number 2 city, talking about the burning of Osaka. We're now on to Blood and Guts. Patton is overwhelmed. June the 8th, 1945. Crybaby. America gave such a tremendous ovation to General George S. Patton, Jr. that he was carried away with emotion at a state dinner in Boston. The pistol-packing hero of Africa and Europe weeps unashamedly. A great general in the field, he led the Third Army's lightning sweep through France and was a potent driving force in the final triumph over Nazi Germany. Yeah, Patton, this is actually kind of interesting to think, because Patton is a very old-fashioned man. Even in his time, he's considered a little bit old-fashioned in certain things. It kind of gets him in a bit of trouble um, for how he treats certain people, certain ways. Um, However, he is considered a very, very, very important general. His lightning sweeps, like they say, they are important. A lot of Patton is a good general. He's kind of what a lot of people assume certain other generals kind of are, and that he just gets it done, gets it done, gets it done, and if he needs to. And a lot of people tend to not like Patton. He's not there to make friends, to say the least. He's there to do his job, and he'll say some things that'll get him in a bit of trouble. Whether that is a good thing or bad thing, it's up for you to decide. But I'm sure he does feel very moved by this. And honestly, Patton doesn't have that much longer for his life. He will pass from an accident not too long from this point. Jap planes are smothered in steel. June 1945. Downed off Okinawa. In the top picture, a curtain of steel is laid down by an American warship against an attacking Jap plane off Okinawa. The plane is coming head-on, just over the horizon, but she hasn't a chance in the murderous hail of shrapnel. Below, a Nip plane attacking a flat top of the Essex class explodes in mid-air after being hit by heavy AA guns. Destroyer in background joins the fight. Yeah, a lot of these times, these Japanese planes, I mean, you can kind of see it right there, they have to go through some crazy gunfire, these AA fires, to actually commit the kamikaze, to being a kamikaze. And it's crazy to imagine. Now, a lot of times they don't necessarily get there, but the times they do, obviously it's quite brutal. And you can see here, and that one just gets blasted out of the air. There's the destroyer they were talking about, getting right into the battle. A foot soldier's view of war on Okinawa, June 1945. Death Valley. Marines advance over the waste of a battlefield littered with enemy dead, as they seek hiding places of survivors who might menace their rear. One Marine pauses reflectively by the bodies of the dead Japanese, while the others go forward under the gesticulated order of the leader. One Jap has apparently been decapitated by a shell. Note also the stretcher on the ground. Yeah, you can kind of see some of these things. But yeah, the Japanese, I mean, there's a lot of times where these soldiers will move up and they'll just see tons of people dead. And as one of these soldiers, you have to think, like, what is it all worth, man? What is it worth? It's just awful. The Aussies invade Borneo. June 10th, 1945. Yank planes softened objectives. Australia's famed 9th Division made a series of surprise landings on Borneo June 10th, following heavy bombardments by American air forces and the 7th Fleet. Venturas, attached to the 13th Army Air Force Fighter Command, made a shambles of Brunei town, Borneo. Here, the paper mache, that doesn't not look like paper. Papier mache town is shown in complete conflagration. Conflagration, by the way. But yeah, a lot of these, the Aussies and the Anzacs in general should not be like they're doing things. They're not just sitting around. It's not just America. Like the Australians fight just as long as we do for a long time. Um, until basically not until basically till literally the end of the war. And you have to wonder if they felt like, okay, we're getting this. We're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. You had to have realized, like, when you're looking at the stuff the Japanese is losing and things like that, you have to think like, yeah, it's coming. The end is coming very soon. Borneo beaches and airstrips are bombed. June 10th, 1945. Landings quickly affected. The neck of this Jap Zero float plane was broken by an Allied naval shell before she could rise from the water at Labuan, Borneo, and the airstrip at Brunei. Below was heavily pocketed from the air, making it impossible for making it possible for Jap planes to oppose landings. The main assault on Labuan Island, just off the mainland of Borneo, resulted in the speedy capture of Victoria and the airfield. Another landing on the mainland at Brookton made swift progress toward the town of Brunei. By this surprise stroke, the Allies straddled the Jap positions in the East Indies and achieved mastery of the Southwest Pacific. And the Japanese, like they've said, they were losing on a lot of fronts here, and they are being pushed out, pushed back, and a lot of the territory they had captured is being slowly but surely stripped away from them, and it's getting quicker and quicker and quicker with how fast the end is approaching on all of these fronts and how much the Japanese are being shaken out of these positions. A rocket run on Okinawa, June 1945, the final phase. Land, sea, and air forces united to rout the last of the Japs from the southern tip of Okinawa in the final stage of the campaign. Here, a Marine Corsair fighter looses a load of rocket projectiles against the southern ridges where the last-ditch Nips put up their final struggle. Waves of these planes kept up a continuous rocket barrage. Yeah, the Japanese are being fully shaken from Okinawa at this point. It's taken a little bit, it's taken some time, but they've held on to it quite well. They're fighting tooth and nail to ensure that the Allies do not shake them from this position, but it's happening. And the Allies are gonna throw literally everything, well, the Americans specifically, are gonna throw everything to try to shake them from these positions. For them, it's pretty much over. The Jap Baka Bomb, Weapon of Desperation, June 1945. It fails to turn the tide. Many types of planes were used by the Japs in kamikaze smashes at the Pacific Fleet, but the Baka bomb shown here was the only plane specifically designed for the purpose. I have to say kamikaze, by the way. It's not the word that they used, but it's the word I have to use. I'm sure you can guess what they meant. But yeah. Kamikaze pilots, and there was another word there I can't say, started to operate on a large scale for the first time at Leyte. The wave of kamikazes reached its frenzied height during the 3-month Battle of Okinawa. The kamikaze planes took a large toll of shipping and men, but were unable to halt our advance towards the home islands. And the heavy, almost day and night naval and aerial fight for Okinawa ended in victory for the American forces, with many of the kamikazes being splashed. I can show here. Yeah, this is kind of, I talked about this in some previous episodes. The Japanese start literally welding these shut. I wonder if you can see here. This is more or less welded shut on these, and they're not able to get out. So it's either you do this, or, well, you're gonna run out of fuel and sink into the ocean. Um, and there was no real option. These soldiers or these airmen were not given an option, and you start to see them have less and less experienced fighter pilots. So they're just going to throw literally anybody at them. And they're going to have very little training except knowing how to fly. And even that will be a little questionable. And there's kind of, I guess, a little linguistic joke in this as well. Baka in Japanese means like idiot or imbecile or something like that. The Marines mop up on Okinawa. June 1945. Groggy Japs give up. A Marine rifleman gives the ceasefire order with his hands as a badly damaged Jap emerges from a cave on Okinawa. But although the bitter Okinawa campaign was drawing to an end, the Marines below took no chances when a bearded Jap offered to surrender. They gingerly search his clothing at arm's length to make sure he isn't carrying a concealed weapon or a hidden explosive to sell his life for theirs. The Nips gave up in considerable numbers at the end of the battle for Okinawa, but they were still capable of fanaticism and treachery. Yeah, you have to realize a lot of these people, like I've said many videos before, they are being told lies about what the Americans are going to do to them and all these things. And it leads to them like, okay, well, I have to do this to try to save people because if I don't, they're gonna. I mean, the idea is they're gonna kill me anyway. I'm gonna try to take some of them out with me, and so they're gonna have hidden weapons, maybe bombs, things like that, to try to take out uh, their captors. Um, that's why these guys are being so careful because they know, like, well, I don't know what this guy could do to me. But yeah, they start to surrender though at the end because they realize it's over. A lot of them realize it's over. There's nothing they can do. And you're starting to get just villagers that are just they're like, I'm gonna surrender. Um, but I mean, thankfully, I know it sounds kind of harsh, but not harsh, but kind of weird. But thankfully, this never gets to the main island of Japan because the defense platform that they had in place was interesting. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys like this video, give it a like. If you have any ways I can improve these videos, leave a comment down below. I read all the comments. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.